everybody, and welcome to an interesting review. Well, it's not interesting in the sense that anything I say is going to be interesting, because I can tell you right now, it's not going to be that interesting. But it's interesting in how I rated this film. Now, if you have watched my YouTube videos, except for one time, and I decided after that I'd never do it again, I do not say in my videos what ratings I give these films. When I do written reviews, I do for the sake of the people who are reading it. Sometimes they just want to scroll and see what rating I gave it, so that's why it's there. But when it comes to my video reviews, I don't like to do rankings. I just like to talk about it and have that be enough. But I do put the rating that I gave in my written review, I do put that in the description box, just for a little bit of context. But sometimes, kind of like with my Kill It With Fire reviews, sometimes you come across a film that just defies rating systems. There was, let's see, we had Alien Covenant not last year, the year before that. God, time's moving fast. And that film I gave a rating of fuck you. That was fun. Because I could see some technical good stuff, but I was just so mad at that movie, and I was so mad at Ridley Scott, so I gave that movie a rating of fuck you. Fingers and all. Fingers and all. I'm such a twit, sorry. I had Welcome the Stranger. I'll post a link to that video right there. I gave that movie a rating of what the fuck, because I still to this day do not bloody understand what that movie was about, and people have watched that video or read my review and they have commented going, yeah, I'm with you, got no bloody clue, and they're just like, I was hoping your review would fill in the blanks, and they're just like, nope, we're all the same, none of us got a damn clue. And so today, I gave this film, The Wind, I gave it a rating of it's complicated, because it was complicated. And the last time I gave a film that rating was when I did my Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. I'll post a link to that one there as well. Yeah, because while it's a lot of fun and I love the music, as an individual film it was great. As a sequel it was shit, because it completely contradicts and fucks up everything that was established in the first film, and just gives me a headache. So we're kind of in the same territory here. I just, like, there were technical aspects that I like about this film. Obviously I'm about to go into that, but there were things that I'm like, cool, I appreciate this, I appreciate your work, but as a person I did not like this movie. And so I'm like, well, how the fuck do you rate something that is a decent body of work, but you don't like? I'm like, you know, it's complicated. So we have another It's Complicated review. So enough of me talking, and let's do the actual review. The Wind is a 2018 American supernatural western horror film directed by Emma Tammi in her directorial debut. Written by Teresa Sutherland, it sees a plainswoman face the harshness and isolation of the untamed land in the western frontier of the late 1800s. So it seems I found myself once again producing what I consider a complicated review. It's complicated because now I must separate my personal feelings towards the film and the film's overall execution. Speaking personally, I did not enjoy this film. However, I don't think it's a bad film. I might be blowing some people's minds, but it's possible not to like something but still appreciate the body of work and acknowledge that just because you don't enjoy it doesn't mean it's a bad film. If we looked at something like The Covenant, not the Alien film, which is a 2017 independent horror film, I could list in perfect detail, and I did, the ways in which it is a bad film, from the script to direction to cinematography and even effects. Everything was horrible. I can't use those arguments here, which leaves me having to break this into two categories. I love horror films and I enjoy westerns, being that I grew up watching them with my mother who loves them. Going into this, I was hoping that given the subject matter, I was in for high suspense, which wasn't what I ended up getting. I found the film to be painfully drawn out and had no real conclusion to the story. I typically enjoy in psychological films when certain scenes are left off the screen to force the audience to think the worst, as it amps up the sensations and payoff from the film. But in this case, I felt too much went unanswered. And so my biggest problem is with the script. By the end of the film, certain things are revealed, but I'm still not understanding whether our character was the victim of a demonic siege or was going mad. If there's one thing I hate, it's when a horror film blurs the lines between supernatural and insanity so much that when it's all over, you have no idea what the real story is or was. Hereditary did this more successfully. If you want to know that, go see my analysis of it. Some people are going to watch this and it'll be the very thing they love about the film, and that's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, I feel that falls more into personal taste and less so poor execution, though my feeling is that it's poor execution. I ultimately found the film quite underwhelming with little to offer, nothing to keep me engrossed, and though it was only just over an hour long, it felt like it had been going on for days. The film attempts to put in too many elements but doesn't properly explain or conclude any of them, and the fact the story is told through flashbacks, none of which are in chronological order, it becomes quite challenging to follow the story if there ever truly was one. I feel the director had some strong ideas. You do go through the film experiencing that overwhelming stillness and quiet with nothing but the sound of the wind, and the wind itself takes on an ominous presence as it feels like an invader in the secluded area. So in that aspect, the film is very true to its title, and how this was depicted was well thought out and executed. If the main character is indeed going mad, then the film has shown a genuine descent into insanity and given very logical reasons for why this has happened, beyond just being unable to cope with isolation. However, since I'm unsure whether this was the case, I can't 100% critique this how I'd like to. If I'm to have understood some of the flashbacks, hopefully, it would seem our leading female found out her husband had an affair with the wife of the new and only other couple on their plane. I hated this storyline. Only 4 people around for miles, and I'm supposed to believe this new couple, this woman, was so desperate to sleep with someone other than her husband, she jumped on the first thing within proximity? I'm supposed to believe this man who appears to love his wife and is still having an active sex life with, even after the death of their son, has jumped into bed with the first new woman to come along. She gets pregnant, goes stark raving mad, wanting her husband to leave, and wishes to raise her child with its father and the father's wife. This is some crazy storytelling that makes no sense and has no real purpose, and is never officially confirmed, as we never see this happen and only have the words of an unstable woman to go off. The point is, the wife finds out and shoots pregnant neighbor. If all of this is true, then frankly the audience can only feel sympathy for our main character. She has lost a child at birth, gone through this loss in isolation, then found out her husband has gotten their first ever neighbor pregnant. I don't think anyone would retain their sanity after such hardship and betrayal. Between supposed demonic entities appearing, ghosts and dead animals being raised from the grave, I am still left questioning if this is a supernatural film at all, or just a movie about a woman suffering an eventual psychotic break, which I don't blame her for. Many enjoy these kinds of cryptic films, so I can see many people enjoying this one. It has a few jump moments, great use of camera work, and the performances are brilliant. The cinematography and direction together create an interesting visual story, but I can't get over how discombobulated the script was and how unclear the subject matter is. So while I can praise the work behind the camera and various other elements because I give credit where credit is due, I'm still left sitting here only able to feel that I strongly dislike this film. As a directorial debut, I think this film shows that Tammy has some great skills, but I feel a confusing script overshadows those skills. I would very much like to see her do another movie as to see better what her work is like and what she has to offer, because I certainly see potential in this film. Many people will no doubt watch this and love this, but this was not for me. I would not watch this again, but I would recommend others see it for themselves and see what conclusion they come to. So far this year's track record with horror films is not going so great. I've had one that I liked. I've watched a handful, but I only liked one of them. Those are not good odds. And I definitely know a couple coming up this year, and just looking at them I'm like, you look shit. Like, I can just tell already, I'm gonna hate you. Like, there are just things you know about. People like, oh, don't judge it too early. I'm like, this isn't judging, this is my gut. And my gut done fail me. And my gut is saying, you shit. You really shit. So, yeah, I mean, if you have seen this. I did have another reviewer who we follow each other on Twitter, and he had seen this film and he felt exactly the same way I did. So I'm like, yay, I'm not alone. But yeah, it's like good technical stuff. It's just the script really makes you go, what the fuck? Anyway, if you have seen this film, then be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you thought about it, or just comment down below and let me know what you thought about this video. I don't know, take your pick, you know, entirely up to you. But I'm going to go and no longer think about this movie because it might give me a headache. So until next time, bye.